Here are over, well, I think 20 configurations of champions that you can team up with, whether it's pre-fights or not, for Saga Incursions if you are struggling for team options and setups to take in this particular quest. So let's get into the video. First of all, we're going to start off with some top tips for those that don't know on how to set up and things like that. I think one of the first things is ranking up some of the strongest base champions. There's also 5 minutes before you can reset back in if you don't get the right hacks to begin with. So the advantage is for anybody that goes, oh, well, I'll just use my Fantastic Four champions. Of course, you've got a handy button underneath filter to go and filter between those champions, is you can then put in 3 various champions and then coming back out again. You can use this team. I don't know if I overly recommend it, but in any case, you can go in from a solo perspective and then go to your first set of hacks. And because you can do this, it means you can set up for the rest of the zones. So if you don't get the right setup or get it wrong, you can go back in and set up again. You'll come to the first one and go, I wonder what all these are. Oh yeah, I'll go with this, this, or this. FYI, Armor Burst is a fantastic option, especially if you've got armoring based champions, and there are a lot within this particular saga. When you go up to the other one, you're like, okay, well, you could then choose defensive cascade, which again factors into armor up as well. So you've got various options. But you may say to yourself, oh, I've made a mistake in my setup. That's fine. What you can do is press the exit button, quit out Incursions, and go back in 5 minutes time, which again is another kind of like cool and handy thing to do with this. I do recommend for anybody to have boosts on. If you are someone that's got a load of solo shards, you can largely pop on a lot of boosts from there. So make sure to kind of like re-pop on things like lesser champion boost, standard champion boost, the daily superior daily event thing where you get like health boosts and choice between that and the attack based boost. So look to put those on. That will be helpful as well. Also, fair warning to anybody, the AI is not particularly brilliant within Incursions, and of course the state of it isn't great as well, so be very careful on how you play against it. Reviving and healing, something I do recommend is that if you have a champion that's low or one particular champion in particular that's knocked out and you're like, well, I wouldn't mind getting some healing, you can spend 85 units, get your champion revived back up, a singular champion, go to the little revive and healing station and then heal up to a more max amount of health. So that's something like a quick tip there, just to kind of think about when you reach these stations, need them or not need them. Yes, you don't want to spend revives, but at the same time, if you just spend a little bit of units, get a champion up, or champions, because there could be multiple ones, and use this particular boost up or heal up, you're able to get your champions a bit full on the old health. So what I'm saying, just to be clear, is yes, you can just go to the revive station and revive them to about 40% or whatever, but what you could do is spend the units and then kind of get them a bit further up as a result. You may not want to do that, and that's completely fine. It just depends on like how much healed the champions are. Will they actually gain any benefit, or are they needing to be revived first? So it's like, I heal them up first or revive them. It just depends again on the percentage of healing you're going to get back or health bar you're going to get back as well. So part 2, moving on to like incursion options and hacks pairing. When you're thinking about setting up with the right hacks for the right champions, do the right job, there's always little tips and tricks with pre-fights. You could have a pre-fight from the Maker, which is just a champion that's come in for the tech line that gets some benefits. But of course, you do need to use the Maker, or you allow the champions to top up to get the pre-fights to then gain the benefit of the pre-fights from that. But there's also the Cosmic pre-fights, which also have things that can benefit other champions. Like the pre-fight from Odin can benefit champions like Spider-Woman. She can get a selection of aptitude and other things like that. Arnim Zola, providing you can use that one. I haven't tried it yet, but providing you can do that. Aptitude on his Fury buffs off the SP1. Again, interesting option. Very different with Odin, because Odin does actually only benefit the Cosmic line. So yes, that's... So very much look at it like a fine wine pairing, as we said right here. Oh great, there is off the back of an SP1 a Fury buff that Arnim Zola can get. Okay, well that will trigger off buff cornucopia, providing that I have it. The same thing could be said for, as we said, those armor up based champions with armor burst or defensive cascade. And with champions like Red Skull that has access to certain other hacks, you could have like Proud Degen, or you could have the one that does the power control. I don't know if we have access to that particular hack this time. I've definitely not seen it, but if we did, obviously power draining would mean you'd have access to it. But the armor up buff is the most important thing. You could also add in something like Lightning Fist's Relic, which could see some benefit to Red Skull, but to be honest, it's all about the armor up. Same thing could be said for Hemostatic Charge, which when a bleed debuff is activated, then that has benefit to do power stings. So yes, there's some great stuff with that. Of course, whoever you choose is going to be based on who's the strongest in your roster. You can switch around a bit, but it just depends on options. The spreadsheet that I've got in the link in the description does have some fantastic force-based champion options, but also has some non-fantastic force-based options if you're looking for some just general play in incursions in the future. So there's some setups that kind of benefit both. There's also a great section, and the section we're going to finish off the video with is community options. I think it would be incredibly wrong for me as a MCC YouTuber, a content creator, whatever, to not include decent community-based options, because I've got my options, I have things I recommend, but also you, the players, have various different options than me, and I think that's brilliant. And we're going to see some of those right now, read off some of them, and kind of see them. The person in particular that recommended them. So Saab Hargav has this option here, plus a recommendation from Milo Anderson, that says about an SP2 rotation, but of course armor burst hack is probably the way to go with this with extended stuns. Makes sense to do all that lovely burst-based damage. It makes a different alternative option than the buff cornucopia rotation that I did. Luntiapai has a superior Iron Man, then future Ant-Man, and Dr. Doom, but also he said that he started off with using a Odin and Gallon build around superior Iron Man, looking into that defensive cascade, obviously the armor up, second chance, which gets you back some health, like that's some regeneration elements, Toxic Siphon, Tide of Combat, which I've put in there twice, so I'll have that removed by the time you see this, and an armor burst, but also said that he switched out part way through. Interesting one here from Temple Guard Gold that went for a Toxic Siphon, keep it going, 13 hit combo, which then triggers then new Tide of Tide of Combat, speak Richard, then it's debuff expired, purify, grants fury, armor burst, and defensive cascade with that little setup there. Very, very nice. I think popular one is Spider-Woman. Now, if I had Spider-Woman, I definitely would use her, same as Bastion, and definitely with Scream. Rage into Combat, Toxic Siphon, and Tide of Combat. Nice combinations right there. We also have Spider-Woman, Angela, Odin. Interesting setup here, and that's nice to see. SP2, then SP1 rotations for Spider-Woman as well. And then another interesting option, Stun Hack and Buff Cornucopia build for Hyperion. Very highly rated, parry heavy rotation, possibly get the Fury buff up. Could trigger of Buff Cornucopia, then we've got Stun Enhance, SP2 rotations, and then of course prolong that stun. Attack Surge buff, and of course all the things that can amplify any buff-based damage. Here are again some other alternative options that we got with no kind of specifics of what indeed was different about them, what hacks were used, but it was really good to see all of these different alternative options. So if you want to check out the spreadsheet, some different configurations, I'll tidy up some stuff because it does look a bit messy with some words not being in the right place. But that's about all in the link in the description. Thank you very much everybody that kind of entered in some suggestions. Hope you enjoyed the video, and check out some other content which will be located on screen. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. I'll see you tomorrow for the MCN. Bye-bye.